Because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
You thought the game was over, but it's only just begun.
What's up, Massacre? No one is safe. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So we're going to be going over some news on what's going on with the new reboot or the new trilogy for the Strangers trilogy that we've kind of been waiting for a while. Okay, obviously 2008 we had the Strangers, 2018 we had the Strangers Pray at Night. Two really good films. And obviously, you know, I'm not a big fan of the original film. It didn't really scare me too much. For me, it really didn't. I don't know why, except maybe the knock on the doors and stuff like that. And if anybody, you know, kind of didn't know about the Strangers franchise in general, it was actually inspired by two real-life events, multiple homicide, Manson family, Tate murders, and a series of break-ins that occurred in Bertino's neighborhood as a child. So if you guys haven't read up on, like, what behind this whole entire trilogy or behind the two films that we've gotten so far, a lot of this is based on true-life events, since it's really messed up. But going into this new trilogy that was really speculated last February that it is already being filmed as of right now, I've been looking at when's the release date for this new trilogy for The Strangers. It says right now no release date on The Strangers is known except for the remake will be released in 23. Lionsgate is distributing the film. However, it's unknown whether the film will be a release in theaters or on demand. The trilogy was first announced back in August 22, and production began in Bratislava, Slovakia in September. All three movies will be filmed subsequently, a rarity in horror and a film in general. This is the only time a horror franchise has been filmed the way besides Netflix Fear Street trilogy. Can't wait for that. The Strangers trilogy will be a huge project with likely a huge cinematic payoff. And yeah, so what they're doing here is, obviously we've had the two movies already. They're going to be making hopefully another movie and two more movies after that. So really when they're done with this new film, they're going to start filming literally right after. They're not wasting any time. And I'm actually really happy because I think they're going to have somewhat of a concrete story. We've heard that the Strangers new trilogy is going to be in the same universe. So it's not going to be a fresh reboot. It's not going to be something different at all. But very excited to hear that. Now, there is no trailer yet as this film is still in production. The premise can be predicted through since the Strangers movies are bound to a particular concept with a repeat set of characters. The Man in the Mask, Dollface, and Pinup Girl. The main characters will be isolated, trapped, and terrorized by the murderous trio. To get a feel for the Strangers, definitely, obviously, check out the original film, watch everything. Now, I heard they're going to be doing a lot of backstory in this new trilogy, which I'm not really excited for because I'm afraid they're going to go too deep into these mysterious killers, which I really don't want to do that, okay? There's some slashers out there that you can humanize certain slashers because of childhood or because of something that makes sense towards their childhood, that, you know, they became who they are as a slasher. When it comes to these films, I want them to be unknown. I want them to be mysterious. I want them to just surprise me at the things that they do. Because really at the end of the day, like the 2008 film was okay, just didn't really scare me too much as I, thought it would be. I thought The Strangers Pray at Night, I thought that was really good. It was a little bit of a bigger budget 10 years later. And a lot more, the writing wasn't that great. It wasn't, too fantastic. It was subpar at times, but a lot of blood, a lot of kills, and it was a fun ride. I gotta say, Pray at Night was probably my favorite one so far, and could they top this? I know they definitely can. Now, the upcoming trilogy is being labeled as a series of remakes. With that said, the film sounds more akin to a trio of sequels or soft reboots, which is encouraging. The 2008 original pitch perfect, and to simply recreate it would be a fool's errand. The first installment in the upcoming trilogy will follow a couple on a cross-country journey to the Pacific Northwest, where they have plans to start over and build a new life. A wrench is thrown in the works when they break down in Venice, Oregon, and decide to secure an Airbnb rental for the evening. As they settle into their temporary digs, the couple is terrorized by a trio of masked home invaders. So this is like almost, so they need to add something different to this film going forward. And I think when it comes down to it, guys, like, it usually starts out as a family goes to a secluded, disappear type town where they go there's nobody around, they're wondering why there's nobody around, and finding out that a lot of people aren't alive in the town and they're getting killed, and they move into this, so it's almost the same thing. They move to an empty area, they're getting bombarded by these 3 killers nonstop until they are killed. And I actually like that idea. They just done it the past 2 films, and how much more different can they actually go, kind of moving forward with this whole entire trilogy that they're going to be making. So that's going to be really interesting. Now, Renny Harlin has plenty of genre cred by way of standout efforts like A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Deep Blue Sea. Anxious to see what he has in store. We've been conflicting reports regarding whether or not Harlan will helm all 3 installments, but according to Deadline, the cliffhanger director has signed on for the entire trilogy. So Renny Harlin has got some horror background, which is really good. So hopefully he could make this somewhat really awesome. Now, the script comes from a creative team primarily known for their comedic output. This is where things are going to take a turn. So Alan R. Cohen and Alan Friedland panned the screenplay for the upcoming first installment of the trilogy. However, their prior efforts are largely in the comedic space. Their previous calibrations include multiple episodes of King of the Hill, an episode of The Nanny, and Zach Galifianakis, Robert Downey Jr. film Due Date. Those seems to be an unnatural progression to go from comedy to horror. Jordan Peele and Zach Cregger has given us cause of deep and open mind regarding comedians trying their luck in the horror space. So we've had guys like Jordan Peele and other directors that have been in comedies, that have directed comedies and have turned their careers into horror. I think Jordan Peele's done a pretty good job with a lot of the films, and most of them are really a good success. So kind of makes me worried a little bit, going into a film here where you have 2 guys with comedian type backgrounds, and kind of get a little nervous here where they're going to make this thing too corny, way too funny. I want something very serious. I think both films have been pretty serious. I mean, there were some funny, maybe a couple funny moments in the second film, but if you have room for it, that's fine, but just don't push on it too much to where you're going to be, it's going to be too much out there. Really going forward with this new trilogy, and you know what, I didn't know if I was going to be really comfortable with I kind of wanted to do a fresh reboot instead of continuing inside the same universe, but I have no problem with them continuing off or doing something, whether it's in the same universe of these other 2 films, if that's what they really want to do going forward. From what we're hearing so far with the rest of this film, we're starting to hear that now there's going to be backstory and towards these killers, apparently. I don't know how much they're going to go backstory with it, but it makes me a little nervous going forward because I don't want to know anything about these characters. I don't care about these characters, where they came from. I just, maybe a little bit of backstory, but not going too far where you're making it like all about them and their past and why they do what they do. And I don't want to see that. Okay, we've seen that a million times. Like, don't try to humanize these killers. Don't try to humanize these characters. Like, if you want to humanize the survivors and the torment that they're going to go through this whole entire night, then I can completely understand that. But when it comes down to keeping the story fresh, keeping it, anticipated, that's why I like the second film so much, because I felt like even though the writing wasn't really that great, the chase scenes, on the edge of your seat type scenes where you don't know what's going to happen, and mysterious things do happen in films like this, and keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you're just really excited. And I want to stay excited when I'm watching The Strangers. I really do. I want to just be surprised by what happens. When you think something's going to happen, it never happens that way, and that's kind of what you see in these films. What it means to, as a survivor in this story, to go through the trauma of these 3 psychopaths that are not going to leave you alone until you're dead. you know, and I think that's one of the big reasons why I like this franchise so much. It's obviously based on true stories, which is horrible, but at the same time, turned into a movie. When you watch this, you really feel it. You feel scared. You feel like your heart's racing. You feel like you have to escape with them. It really puts you into the film so much, and I really like that feeling of like you feel like you're there. You want these survivors to escape. You know, you don't want them to die. So it's always something you want to look forward to going and seeing these films. Seeing the backstory of these 3 killers, these 3 psychopaths, is just something I'm just not interested in. I mean, I'm still going to watch it regardless, but I hope they don't go down that stretch of backstory of these killers and making it so deep into that we're going to waste so much time in the film. It's going to feel rushed. It's going to feel quick. It's going to feel whatever. You know what I mean? So I feel like director-wise, they have a good director that has a lot of, you know, past, direction in some OG horror films, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, which is perfect to make it weird, to make it dangerous, to make it, psychotic at times, which is awesome. And then really moving forward to, 2 more films after this new one. When are we going to get a trailer? Probably, I was hearing a 2023 release, not anymore. And then I was hearing a 2024 release is really the last thing I've heard so far. It's already August. So if I'm guessing, this movie is probably going to come out early 24, most likely, very early 24. So we might actually get something maybe during the holidays, trailer-wise, or something like that. So, I would kind of, sit back and let this thing roll out the way it is. So other than that, guys, it's pretty much it. The Strangers trilogy. I know there's a lot more I probably could have gone over here, but until we have some really concrete news of this film, a teaser or somewhat of news, I'm hoping we can get more of that. And I want to know from you guys if you like the Strangers trilogy. Lionsgate, obviously, one of the biggest, besides Saw, one of the biggest movies that they have that, really brings a lot of attention to them and has made them very successful because of it. I've always liked these films. I've always liked the trauma and feeling that trauma and really panicking, my heart racing while watching these films. It's great. It's awesome. It makes you terrified. So let me know what you guys think about The Strangers Pray at Night, and what do you think they're going to incorporate into this new film? Are you worried that they're going to put too much backstory? And they didn't even say backstory into the killers. I'm kind of guessing that, and I'm hoping not. Because if they're doing backstory, then they're really going to put backstory into who's attacking these people and why, and maybe some survivors are going to find out more about their past. I'm just not interested in that. It just takes too much out of the movie. I don't want to find out who they are. I do not care. You know what I mean? So I perfectly get it. If one of them gets killed, then great. I'm fine with that. I have no issue with it whatsoever. But to find out more, when you find out too much information about and humanize a character that's not supposed to be humanized, then you don't think of them the same way anymore, and it kind of changes your point of view on just them. And then when you watch the other movies, you're kind of just like, you already know what they turn into, or you already know who they are, and it just ruins the moment of watching these films all over again. So I want to know what you think on that whole course of what do you think the backstory is going to be. So I think that's pretty cool, but somewhat cool. But if they put it in a good direction, it could be really good. But if they don't, then we're screwed at the same time. So if you guys, like I said, if you guys last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video as well for more content. And obviously we'll have more news on obviously on the Strangers if anything else comes out. You guys keep running, enjoy your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.